In Ghana, new draft legislation is seeking to introduce some of the harshest anti-LGBTQ laws in Africa. The bill would make identifying as a member of the LGBTQ community or an ally punishable by years in jail. It would also ban same-sex marriage and adoption, public displays of same-sex affection, and LGBTQ-focused organizations. The legislation has many Ghanaians worried about their future. So joining me now to discuss this bill further is author, journalist, and director of New York University in Accra, Chike Frankie Edozien. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is concerning. Same-sex conduct is good morning. You know, same-sex conduct is already outlawed in Ghana. So what is this new promotion of proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill? That's the name of it. What is it looking to criminalize exactly?
It's looking to criminalize everything and everybody that is non-heterosexual and that is not ideologically Christian or Muslim. And what this does is that it allows people to be jailed for even just saying that they are gay. It allows for, they're trying to even have extradition treaties with countries where people who are gay have run out of Ghana to be able to bring them back to face persecution. It allows you, if you are the parent of an intersex child, to make that decision immediately and say that your child is going to be this, and then that child has to live with that gender for the rest of their life. It prohibits people from even considering foster care or adoption or anything at all that is non-heterosexual and Christian or Muslim, essentially. And so African traditions and our diversity and all the stuff that Africans have been having for generations comes to an end if this bill should pass.
Okay, so I'm really glad that you use the phrase African traditions, because supporters of the bill have argued that, in fact, homosexuality is contrary to Ghanaian culture, that this is not part of the tradition. So my question is twofold. You know, your reaction to that, and what is life like for members of the LGBTQ community in Ghana?
So one of the great things about Ghana and truly much of West Africa and other parts of the African continent is that there's always been a diversity of people and a diversity of thought and a diversity of families. And this bill will leave a wake of destruction for so many different families who for generations have had different kinds of people in them. I think it is a fallacy to think that African families are simply just heterosexual. There have been all kinds of African families from the beginning of time. What has happened in Ghana with this new bill is that most people have gone underground. People have become afraid. People are using digital technology because just to be out there puts yourself at risk. In February, the very first community center for LGBTQ people opened with a little bit of fanfare. And what had happened was that LGBTQ people had gone and raised money to have a space where they could feel safe and where they could have jobs training and where if there were problems with families, people could go to and not be sleeping on the streets. Now that was shut down very rapidly by this government. And then following that, we saw the real push to have this this draconian bill pushed through the Ghanaian parliament. There's also a political dimension to this in that most of the proponents of this bill are in the opposition party. And so they're not able to articulate a message that will bring them to power in the next go round. So what they've glammed on is the lowest hanging fruit because people think that LGBTQ people don't have political power. They're a minuscule minority. And so here in Ghana, it is easy for them to be trampled over. And what they've done is that they've imported from America the use of wedge issues, which America saw in their politics for years and brought that in here and having an issue in which they believe everybody will rally around them and use that as a means to sort of not just squash Ghanaians that they don't agree with, but also as a stepping stone to uniting people to be behind them.
Imported the wedge issue concept. Very interesting as well. So while you have one group sort of arguing that LGBTQ plus acceptance is something imported from a foreign culture, you have others suggesting that this like you just said, this sort of reaction is also kind of important. And there are critics that argue that, this really started to pick up steam after a 2019 conference hosted by the World Congress of Families, which, the Southern Poverty Law Center designates as a hate group. There was a conference held in Ghana. And so can we talk about that, whether or not this is being bolstered by perhaps outside organizations?
So what we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years is that groups like the World Congress of Families or the National Observatory for Marriage have essentially tried to have ballot initiatives all around America, and very often they fail. And so now places like Eastern Europe, Georgia, to basically Ghana, in West Africa have now become fertile ground for them. Having lost the cultural wars relatively in America, they've now decided to come to places like Ghana and say, the one problem you have in your schools is that you allow you allow LGBTQ things to be taught in curriculums. And LGBTQ people are going to be the bane of your society. They are going to cause the most problems. So this bill written by these lawmakers here in Ghana really is essentially a copy and paste from the World Congress of Families playbook. They've done this in other places. And so now they've imported this and the rhetoric that comes with their very harsh rhetoric saying that this is not Ghanaian and this is not African and this is like homosexuality and anything that's non-heterosexual is imported from the West. It's really kind of ironic because the entire bill is imported from the World Congress of Families and the National Organization for Marriage. And so you have this situation where this particular party, the NDC, is looking to rally people around it. And they have found the perfect foil to do that, again, using tactics from the West. Ghana, for generations, has always been the most open place. And it still is in some respects. Many people have come here, and Ghana has always had a constitution that protected the rights of the minority. This bill is attempting to turn the clock back. Anyone who knows Ghana's history knows that there's a reason why it is a beacon of independence and the Black Star of Africa, because everybody has been protected here. You didn't have to like them, you didn't have to love them, but they had protections for all sorts of minorities here. This bill is wanting to turn the clock back on that.
So this brings me to another question. The Ghanaian president is in this very interesting position. You point out that this is really being pushed by the opposition. It's low-hanging fruit. It's an easy one for them. The president of Ghana has been working actively to encourage people to invest in Ghana from around the world, African Americans to come back. You mentioned Black Star, Africans from the entire sort of diaspora to invest in Ghana. This conversation is suggesting something different, that Ghana is kind of moving backwards. Now, the bill's going to be debated, and so we don't know if it's going to make it out of Parliament to the president's desk, but should it make it to his desk? Can we talk a little bit about the position that he will face in a country where it seems like the bill, there's popularity for it? There's support for it, rather.
Well, the bill is popular. The bill is popular, but it's by no means. It's by no means like 100% popularity. I mean, there are many Ghanaians who don't have the loud voices that these folks have. Intellectuals, cultural people, musicians who have written memos to Parliament saying that this will bring Ghana backwards. And it is a fallacy to say that this bill has such broad support, when there are many, many voices who are saying this cannot happen. Unfortunately for the president, he's not one of those voices. A couple of months ago, he went into a church and said that same-sex marriages will never, ever happen under his watch. Now, he was being a little bit nuanced because nobody had asked for that. People were asking to not be criminalized. And from people around him that he really does not want to criminalize gay people. But by saying and making this huge public statement that same-sex marriages will not be allowed under his watch, that has allowed the opposition to pull him into a corner and say that the president supports this draconian bill when there is no evidence that he has said anything or done anything to push this actual bill. So yes, he and his administration are pushing this return to Ghana, beyond the return, and let people come back and be free here in Ghana. It will be a problem because even some of those people he has recruited as ambassadors have said to him and have written public letters, from Idris Elba to Naomi Campbell to Edward Inningfold. They have all written letters to him saying that this bill this bill creates a huge stumbling block to people wanting to come back and visit Ghana and work here. Will it have a chilling effect of keeping people away? That is yet to be seen, because Ghana is a place that is open and welcome, and many people do want to come here. But the president is in a very, very difficult spot, because it would have been perhaps easier for him if he had said nothing. But the fact that he said he was under his watch, there will be no same-sex marriages, that has allowed the opposition to now say that he supports this bill when there is really no indication that he actually does.
Chike Frankie Edozien, thank you for joining us and putting a spotlight on this. And we're going to be keeping track of how this bill develops. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.